There are moments in a soldier's life when silence is louder than any explosion. That was the sound in our hangar when the shuttle doors opened. Smoke curled around the landing pad, black oily fumes dripping from ruptured hull plates. The patrol craft had returned from the Terran front, barely holding itself together. Its once proud insignia, the crimson fang of the Vorthan Dominion, was now charred and smeared with human weapon residue. We all stood there in disbelief, expecting survivors, maybe trophies of war. Instead, Commander Rh'lek stumbled out, bleeding, grinning, his claws wrapped around something alive. It was small, soft, wrapped in torn cloth and strange markings. A human child. The air itself recoiled. Even the ship's hum faltered, as if the engines felt the desecration we'd just committed. My heart stuttered in unison. Every Vorthan in. That hangar took a single synchronized step backward, like prey seeing a predator for the first time. "Rh'lek!" I rasped, throat dry. "What have you done?" He tossed the child down onto the metal floor with a grunt. It whimpered once, then fell silent. The commander looked around at us, his mandibles twitching with pride. "I have done what no warrior has dared," he declared, voice booming. "Behold, proof that the humans can bleed, proof that even their young can be taken." No one cheered. The child looked up, eyes wide but eerily calm. A pair of gray irises ringed with faint blue like storm clouds hiding lightning. And when those eyes met mine, I swear I felt gravity itself bend. "Get that thing off my ship," I said, voice cracking. "Now!" Rh'lek laughed. "You fear a hatchling? Look at it. Frail, helpless, it's nothing." "Nothing," I hissed, stepping closer. "That nothing will summon extinction upon us." He scoffed, turning away. "Superstition. The Terrans are beasts, not gods." But the others were whispering. Even the drones that floated overhead shifted nervously. We'd all heard the stories. Entire fleets gone dark after a single Terran child vanished. Outposts that simply stopped answering. Armies that burned entire systems trying to atone. The humans never spoke of vengeance. They became it. Rh'lek ignored us and ordered containment. "Quarantine the specimen," he barked. "The scientists will want to dissect it before the Terrans find out what we've done." The child turned its head at the word dissect. Its breathing slowed. Not fear, focus. The kind predators have before striking. As the guards moved to grab it, the ship's lights flickered. A static hum rippled through the deck plates. Monitors flared white, then went black. "Power surge," an engineer shouted. "Origin unknown." Unknown? My claws tightened around my weapon. No, it was known. Every Vorthan knew this feeling, even if they'd never lived it. The stories said it always began this way, the universe noticing. "Get us out of this sector," the captain barked from the command deck above. "Now!" But the ship didn't move. Thrusters offline, navigation corrupted. The air filled with an electromagnetic buzz that made our scales itch. The child hadn't moved. It was sitting quietly now, eyes closed. The heartbeat monitor beside it began to spike, steadily, rhythmically. I watched in horror as the ship's readings synchronized with that tiny pulse. One beat, then another. Then every system aboard began echoing it. Boom, boom, boom. Every thrum of its heart made the deck vibrate. I could feel it, like the ship was becoming part of the human. Rh'lek turned to me, uncertainty finally cracking his arrogance. "What's happening?" "You've doomed us," I whispered. "They'll hear it. They always do." "Who will?" "The ones you think can bleed." He tried to retort, but his words were drowned out by a deep rumble outside the hull. The stars beyond the viewport shifted. One by one, the constellations blinked out, swallowed by a growing darkness. The sensors screamed in alarm. "Unidentified mass detected! Hundreds of AU away and closing fast, faster than light!" It couldn't be. No FTL trace, no hyperspace distortion. Whatever was coming wasn't using known travel methods. It was just appearing. The child opened its eyes again and looked toward the stars, toward them, and then it smiled. That was the moment every soldier in that hangar realized the truth of the Terrans. They don't need to be everywhere. They only need to know. I turned to the captain, whispering the words that would soon echo across the Dominion. "You idiot! You stole a human child!" He stared at me, not yet understanding. "Now," I said, as the void began to tremble, "we all die. We sealed this containment bay with everything the Dominion's science could offer. 5 layers of radiation shielding, quantum locks, and psionic dampeners powerful enough to muffle a dying sun." Still, I could feel it. The child's heartbeat echoed faintly through the metal, steady and unnatural. Every time it pulsed, the lights dimmed a fraction. Our instruments told us it was impossible. Our instincts told us to pray. Captain Vorthan barked orders from the bridge. "No communication, no signals in or out. We contain it, we study it, and we find out how to use this creature against its own kind." I didn't answer. I was too busy watching the containment feed. The human sat in the center of the cell, small hands clasped, eyes half closed, as if meditating. The monitors around it flickered with static interference that should not have existed inside a sealed chamber. Then the first meltdown occurred. Our long-range comms arrays began to glow. Not spark, not overload, glow. The metal heated from the inside, molecules vibrating at impossible frequencies. Engineers screamed as consoles liquefied before their eyes. "Sabotage!" the captain roared. "No," I whispered, staring at the readings. "Something's talking through us." The sound came next, a low, pulsing thrum echoing through the ship's hull. It wasn't mechanical, it wasn't digital, it was biological. The child was broadcasting. Every sensor across the vessel spiked with waves spanning the full electromagnetic spectrum, radio, gamma, quantum, and something beyond known physics. The child's neural signature flared brighter than any star, resonating with frequencies our species couldn't even hear. But our bones could feel them. "It's sending a signal," one of the techs stammered. "A distress call?" asked Rh'lek, his voice cracking. I shook my head slowly. "No, not a call. A scream." The captain turned toward me, barbs lifting in disbelief. "Explain." Every frequency matches the neuropatterns of a terrified human. Their fear response is radiating outward, raw emotion transmuted into signal. "It's crying for help, and everything with Terran blood will hear it," Rh'lek laughed nervously. "They're hundreds of light years away. Even if it's calling, it'll take centuries." The bridge light snapped off. A deep vibration rolled through the deck plates, subsonic, endless, like the heartbeat of a god. The child's readings surged. Power systems failed one by one, as though the universe itself was bending around that tiny frame. Our comm screens came alive with cascading static, patterns forming, fractalizing, responding. The noise wasn't random anymore. It had structure, a rhythm. "Translate it," the captain demanded. The AI tried. It lasted 3 seconds before burning out. The translation froze mid-sentence, displaying only one phrase. "We heard." Rh'lek staggered backward. "Impossible. They can't travel this fast." "Do you feel that?" I interrupted. The air had grown thick, viscous, vibrating with something unseen. Every loose object in the room rattled. A mug rolled across the floor by itself. Outside the viewport, the stars were wrong. They shimmered faintly, rippling like reflections on water. Space was bending. The navigator screamed. "FTL disturbance detected. No entry signature. Something's coming through directly into normal space." The captain gripped the command rail, mandibles quivering. "Impossible. There's no corridor open. Who authorized an FTL jump into this vector?" "Not us," I said softly. "Them." Rh'lek clutched his chest. "It's a coincidence. A sensor ghost. Humans can't. The hull began to sing. It wasn't mechanical vibration. It was harmonic. Every atom in the ship trembled in tune with the child's pulse. The containment field shimmered like liquid. The human opened its eyes, gray, endless, ancient, and stared straight into the camera feed as if it could see us. Its mouth moved, but no sound came through the speakers. Instead, the air filled with a low hum. Notes we couldn't hear but could feel, pressing behind our eyes, coiling around our thoughts. "What is it saying?" Rh'lek croaked. I swallowed hard. "It's not speaking to us. It's synchronizing." Synchronizing with what? The sensors answered for me. A colossal energy spike flared on the edge of our perception, not in real space, not hyperspace, somewhere else. The child's breathing slowed. Its expression softened, calm, almost pitying, and in that moment the readings collapsed into one final pulse. A gravitational tremor rippled through every deck. Then silence. Total silence. The ship floated dead in space. No power, no sound. Only the faint glow from the child's eyes through the viewport. Rh'lek whispered, voice breaking. "They can't be here already. Can they?" I stared at the trembling horizon where stars bent and twisted like melting glass. "They're not coming," I said. He turned to me, terrified. "What do you mean?" "They're already here." And with that, the lights died completely, leaving only the heartbeat, pulsing through the void. Silence. For the first time in my life, I understood that silence could have mass. It pressed down on the hull, on my chest, on my very thoughts. The void outside our ship wasn't still. It was waiting. Then, without warning, it tore open. No light. No thunder. Just a fracture in space itself, like the universe inhaled and forgot how to exhale. And from that rift came shapes. Dozens at first, then hundreds. Each one sleek, black, and terrifyingly quiet. The Terran response fleet. Their hulls absorbed the light of nearby stars, matte and scarred like beasts of war returned from some deeper hell. They didn't approach. They materialized, positioning themselves in perfect formation around us. Every vector sealed, every exit gone, no words, no comms, no demands, just presence, our sensors screamed in agony. The readings were impossible. Gravitic compression fields strong enough to warp time itself, mass drives capable of pulverizing moons, and energy signatures that didn't even belong to known physics. One technician fainted trying to process it. The captain barked for evasive maneuvers. Thrusters refused. Engines locked. The ship's systems no longer obeyed us, and in the center of that silent chaos sat the child. It wasn't afraid. It was peaceful. The heartbeat monitors synced to a rhythmic pattern, and to our horror, so did the Terran fleet. Each ship pulsed faintly with the same frequency, like they were listening to it. The air on the bridge thickened. Gravity swelled. Even the void seemed to hold its breath. Rh'lek was the first to break. His arrogance finally cracked into panic. "They can't destroy us. They want it alive!" He grabbed the comms control, overriding the captain's lock. "Terrans, hear me!" He bellowed into the void. "We have your spawn. Come closer and we end it." Static. "No answer. Do you hear me?" He shouted again, spittle flecking the console. "We'll kill it if you don't stand down." The comm array hissed. For a moment I thought there might be a response. Then from the nearest black ship a low hum began. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't sound. It was something that spoke through matter. The deck plates vibrated. The glass of the viewport trembled. The hum rose in frequency until it wasn't heard, but felt deep in the marrow. And then came the light. It wasn't a weapon's flash. It was the color of raw physics being rewritten. A thin, blue-white line streaked from the Terran flagship, carving across our bow with godlike precision. Our forward cannons melted. Not exploded, melted. Armor slagged like wax under a newborn sun. Weapon cores ruptured in silence, turning to glass. They didn't miss. They didn't even aim. They simply erased what they didn't want to exist. Rh'lek stumbled backward, shielding his face from the glare. "Shields! Raise the shields! They're gone!" an officer cried. All of them. Every layer disabled at the quantum level. The captain's voice broke through the panic. Hail them! We surrender! You hear me? We surrender! But the Terrans didn't answer. Not a word. Not a threat. Just motionless ships surrounding us, their hulls glowing faintly in unison with the child's heartbeat. I watched the readouts in disbelief. Every system aboard our vessel was being overwritten, not destroyed but repurposed. Control patterns shifted. Circuits reconfigured themselves. Even our AI began speaking in broken human language, as if the Terrans were teaching it to obey them instead. And the child smiled. It pressed its tiny hand to the glass of its containment cell, and in that instant, every Terran ship's lights flared brighter, synchronized perfectly. Rh'lek screamed, drawing his weapon. It's controlling them! It's calling them! Before he could fire, the containment doors slammed open, automatically. The child stepped out, unharmed, eyes glowing faintly with reflected starlight. It looked at Rh'lek with a gaze far older than its years. He froze. His breath hitched. Then, with a flicker of motion faster than any camera could track, his weapon disassembled itself mid-air, molecules tearing apart like dust in the wind. The captain fell to his knees. "Mercy!" he whispered. "Please!" "Mercy!" The hum deepened again. This time it came from inside our ship, as if the Terran fleet was speaking through its very structure. The bridge lights strobed once, and every display went dark except one, the forward viewport. A human face appeared, cold, unblinking. It said nothing. The captain tried to speak again, but the voice that answered wasn't human or Vorthan. It was the ship itself, reshaped into a mouthpiece of their will. You touched what is ours. Every syllable echoed in my skull like thunder across eternity. You will learn. Then the light came again, but softer this time, like sunrise. It swept through the corridors, sterilizing weapons, erasing memory banks, disarming our entire fleet in seconds. When it was over, we were still alive, but we no longer commanded our ship. We were passengers now, witnesses. Outside, the Terran fleet turned in perfect formation, surrounding us as if escorting a funeral procession. Rh'lek sank to the floor, eyes hollow. "They're not killing us," he muttered. "Why aren't they killing us?" "Because death would have been mercy." I looked once more at the child, standing calm amid the ruin, its pulse matching the rhythm of the fleet beyond. The stars themselves seemed to dim in reverence. For the first time, I understood the stories. Humans don't wage war for revenge. They punish for principle, and now we were about to learn why. We waited for annihilation. Every story ever told about the Terrans ended in fire. Planets burned. Moons cracked. Species vanished. I expected the same for us, that the void would ignite, that light itself would peel away our atoms, but instead, the black ships stopped. They hung in perfect formation, silent and watchful. No weapon fire, no energy surge, just presence, immense, crushing, deliberate. The air aboard our ship felt heavier, dense with invisible gravity. Even the light from our consoles seemed afraid to shine. Then, docking clamps. We didn't move. Didn't breathe. Not one of us dared to. The sound of the Terran boarding tubes locking onto our hull was the sound of inevitability. The first human stepped through. No armor, no helmet, just a dark uniform streaked with ash and soot. The air of our ship, thick with methane and ozone, should have killed it instantly. But the human breathed it in like mountain air. Its skin glistened faintly under the emergency lights, eyes gleaming a shade of iron gray that felt less like color and more like judgment. Behind it, others followed. Men and women, each silent, each moving with precision that made our soldiers seem like stumbling hatchlings. They carried no visible weapons. They didn't need them. Their leader stepped forward. Even standing still, he seemed to tilt reality around him. Our systems dimmed wherever he looked. His voice, when it came, wasn't spoken aloud. It vibrated directly in my skull. "Where?" One of our guards pointed toward the containment chamber. The child was there, small and unharmed. It looked up the moment the human soldiers entered. And then, for the first time since this nightmare began, it smiled. The leader dropped to one knee. "Hey, little one." His voice was soft, trembling slightly. You okay? The child ran to him. No hesitation, no fear. The human lifted it effortlessly, holding it against his chest. For a moment there was silence. Pure, heavy, aching silence. Then he turned toward us. No weapon raised. No rage, just eyes that glowed faintly in the darkness. Eyes that said, "You have already been measured." Rh'lek tried to speak, tried to beg. His mandibles trembled. We didn't know." The leader's gaze snapped to him and the words died in his throat. "You harmed what is ours," the voice said, cold, resonant, infinite. The lights flickered. Power relays screamed. Sparks rained from the ceiling as if the ship itself recognized guilt. "You will remember this day," he continued, "as the line you should not have crossed." We fell to our knees without meaning to. The gravity field around us deepened. Even the air molecules bowed. Every display on the bridge turned black except for one, a single glowing image of the Terran child, safe in the human's arms. And then, nothing. No destruction. No execution. Just departure. They turned and left as they came, walking through the smoke like phantoms. The air shimmered around them, and where they stepped, the deck plates reformed, purged of damage, polished, clean. Not even their footprints remained. The docking clamps released. The black ships withdrew in perfect silence, formation rippling like a single living organism. We stared in disbelief, alive, shaken, free, or so we thought. The first sign came minutes later. "Captain!" a voice shouted from the sensor pit. "The stars! They're dimming!" I looked out the viewport. The nearest sun flickered, as though wrapped in shadow. Its light bled away in ripples, fading like a dying pulse. Then the next star dimmed. "And the next! They're cutting us off!" I whispered. "Communications failed." One by one, our relays went dark. No signal, no data, no response. The Dominion's colonies blinked out of existence on our displays, not destroyed but forgotten. Rh'lek screamed at the void. "What are they doing to us? Why won't they just kill us?" The answer came in silence. Our AI cores shut down. Engines stopped. Orbitals began to fall. Across every world under our dominion, machinery ceased to function. Networks fractured. Power grids collapsed. No explosions. No violence. Just stillness. The Terrans hadn't destroyed us. They had deleted us. Our names, our frequencies, our data signatures gone. Every trace of the Vorthan Dominion erased from the galactic registry. Even our distress beacons no longer registered to any known code. We were invisible to the universe. The captain wept openly. "Why?" he murmured. "Why leave us to fade?" I finally understood. "Because death is finite," I said. "But this is forever. The Terrans believe in consequence, not cruelty. To them, vengeance is not blood, it's absence. A punishment so complete even history refuses to remember." I looked again toward the stars, or what was left of them. The black ships lingered just beyond the fading light, silent sentinels of judgment. Then one by one they turned and vanished into the folds of hyperspace, their trails bending reality as they departed. The child never looked back. When the last Terran ship disappeared, the universe felt smaller. The stars around us seemed tired, drained, like even they no longer wished to shine upon us. In that silence, Rh'lek collapsed to his knees, whispering to himself over and over, "They didn't kill us. They didn't kill us!" But he was wrong. They had, just not in a way we could measure. Our species would live on, yes, but without purpose, without name, without memory. We would become ghosts in a galaxy that no longer acknowledged our existence. And somewhere, far across the void, a human child slept safely in its bed, unaware that an entire civilization had been unmade for daring to touch it. I stared into the darkness, feeling the last of our power flicker away. The silence deepened until it felt like a physical thing pressing on my lungs. And then, from that blackness, came the faintest echo. One final transmission burned into the dying circuits of our ship. 4 words. In human language, "Do not touch humanity." Then even that faded, leaving only static and the cold judgment of eternity. I speak now to the empty stars. No one listens anymore. No one answers. Even the echoes have grown tired. It has been years. How many, I cannot say. Our chronometers lost their calibration long ago, and the sun that once governed our cycles has dimmed into a gray, lifeless sphere. We call it the gray silence. It is fitting. Where once our empire spanned 1,000 systems, burning bright across the Orion arm, now there is only stillness. Our orbital cities drift like corpses. Our archives crumble with corrupted data. Even our names have vanished from memory. The word Vorthan no longer exists in any galactic registry. I've searched every database, every surviving relay. Nothing, not a record, not a footnote. It's as if we never were. That is the punishment of humanity. They did not kill us. They erased us. Not through fire, not through war, but through absence. I walk now through the ruins of what was once our capital. The air tastes of dust and metal. The sky is a dull, endless gray, the clouds unmoving. The streets, once alive with the pulse of commerce, of pride, are empty. Not even scavengers remain, and yet sometimes I hear something. Not sound, not real, just a vibration. A hum in the bones, the faint echo of a voice I can't forget. The child, its cry once shook the stars. Its fear summoned the black ships. And its smile, its terrible, knowing smile, ended us. That memory burns brighter than the dying sun. I keep a recorder with me. One of the few machines that still works. The others fail, no matter how I repair them. But this one endures, as if some unseen force wants it to. So I speak into it, my voice echoing through static. Not to be remembered. No, that privilege has been taken from us. But to understand. I remember the humans' eyes when they boarded us. The way their presence warped reality. The way they looked at the child, not with reverence, not with fear, but with something deeper. Something that transcends logic, connection. Humans are not bound by technology or empire or even biology. They are bound by emotion, by love, by fury, by grief. It is a network far older and stronger than any machine, and when one of them cries out, the universe answers. That is their power. That is their curse. We had thought them primitive once. Mammals, flesh-bound, violent. But we did not understand what violence means to them. To humans, violence is not chaos. It is conviction. It is purpose forged in pain. Every act they commit, love, hate, creation, destruction, stems from the same singular truth. They feel, and when they feel, the cosmos bends. Our scholars once argued that humans could not have risen so far, so fast, without divine intervention. We laughed at them. Now I am not so sure. Because what is divinity, if not belief made real? They believe in each other, utterly. That belief creates something, beyond comprehension. Call it resonance, call it unity, call it faith. But it moves stars. It shapes reality. It makes them unstoppable. Even now, when I close my eyes, I see them. The black ships emerging from the void, silent and inevitable. The way space itself seemed to step aside for their arrival. The way they acted, not out of rage, but out of certainty, they did not seek justice. They were justice. Most of my people are gone now. Some fled into deep space, hoping to find worlds untouched by the gray silence. Others simply gave up. Whole colonies stopped speaking. Whole planets stopped thinking. The spark of consciousness itself seemed to fade. I am the last, I think, or close enough. Sometimes I wonder if the humans left me alive on purpose, to remember, to warn, to sing the song of the survivor. If that is my purpose, then I will fulfill it. I record what remains of our history, our rise, our arrogance, our fall. I speak the forbidden name, Vorthan, into a universe that no longer recognizes it. The word itself feels wrong on my tongue, like a sound exiled from existence, but I keep saying it. Because if I stop, we will truly be gone. Once I found a human transmission, a fragment, old and distorted, still drifting between the broken frequencies. A song. It wasn't warlike. It wasn't triumphant. It was mournful. A slow, haunting melody sung in a language I couldn't fully translate. But the emotion, oh, the emotion I understood. It spoke of loss, of memory, of forgiveness not yet earned. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. They hadn't erased us out of hatred. They erased us out of mercy. To them, we were a danger. To others, to ourselves. A warning etched into oblivion. They removed us so that no one else would follow our path. That is the kind of gods they are, gods who weep while they unmake you. Sometimes in my dreams, I see the child again. No longer crying. Just watching. Always watching, it says nothing. But its eyes hold galaxies. I ask it why. Why destroy us? It tilts its head like it doesn't understand the question. And then softly it answers, not in words but in feeling. We didn't destroy you. You did. And then I wake, gasping in the silence, of a world that no longer remembers my name. If any species finds this recording, if my voice reaches you across the black, listen carefully, do not make the same mistake we did. Do not see humanity as prey, or as gods, or as legends. See them for what they truly are, a unity of fear and love. A paradox wrapped in flesh. A species that remembers everything. They may forgive, but they never forget. If you touch one of their own, if you harm their young, you will not face an army. You will face existence itself, because humanity's strength does not come from their weapons. It comes from each other, from the bond that links them across time and stars and death itself. It is not technology that makes them powerful. It is faith, faith in us, perhaps. Faith that others can change. Faith that life is worth defending. Faith that there is meaning even in the void. And when that faith is betrayed, the universe trembles. I end this transmission now. The recorder's light flickers, power nearly gone. The air outside is silent, still, heavy with the dust of forgotten centuries. If the humans ever hear this message, I hope they understand. I do not hate them. I envy them. They are everything we tried to become, and everything we feared we might be. Not gods. Not demons, something far more dangerous, far more enduring, far more human.